please check out our shirt on Teespring.
Hey folks, what's going on, little world, a little curious not to know. Today to talk about a subject, how Donald Trump is getting really desperate, just making up stuff, and one of them, it was a big story that he said about his competition with on a helicopter that was a helicopter did a mercy landing somewhere in the field, God knows where. And during this time, Trump claims that Willie Brown told his relationship with Harris, and so pretty much they dated from, I heard from 1994 to 1996. This was a long time ago. The reason Trump brings it up because he has nothing really bad to say about her, so he claims that Willie Brown said she was a horrible person or woman, whatever he makes up in his little mind. A person that Trump should talk about is himself. Look in the mirror, asshole. See the true ugliness of yourself.
Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But he I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Of course, Willie Brown was the mayor of San Francisco from 1996 to 2004, and he claims that he never talked about his relationship with Harris or share a helicopter or anything this happened in his life with Donald Trump. Of course, you have the two biggest mouths. They would talk about this for quite a while. Also, there would have been some kind of news reports about this. I think the New York Times reported this never happening, and then Trump threatens to sue them. The New York Times tell them, okay, send us the proof. And he claims that he has paperwork about any kind of signs that ever happened. There would have been some kind of paper report, but again, there would be some kind of news about this, almost 20 years ago. In 2018, former Governor Jerry Brown and our governor now, in 2018, when Trump was still president, flew over some fire-damaged areas. But Newsom says there was no talk about Harris or any kind of mishaps with the helicopter. So Governor Newsom thinks that Trump got confused who he was with the helicopter with, but at the same time, Trump is so desperate to say bad things about Harris that he made this whole story up.
Tonight, new holes in Donald Trump's tale about a frightening helicopter ride with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. Trump told the story last week.
I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned.
But two people on board that chopper say Trump's forgetting a key detail. Brown was never there. Instead, Los Angeles Councilman Nate Holden says he was on the chopper with Trump as they discussed a failed bid to revitalize LA's iconic Ambassador Hotel. Former Trump Organization official Barbara Russ confirms Holden's account, and it lines up with what Willie Brown himself told our John Berman last week.
Have you ever been in a helicopter that made an emergency landing with Donald Trump?
No.
Have you ever been in a helicopter with Donald Trump?
No.
You have no memory of anything like that ever happening?
No.
There you go. And with me now, former LA Councilman Nate Holden and Barbara Russ, former Trump Organization Executive Vice President and author of Tower of Lies, What My 18 Years of Working with Donald Trump Reveals About Him. And Nate, and Barbara, great to have you both on. Really appreciate it. Nate, let me start with you. Tell us what happened on board this helicopter ride around 1990. You were there.
I was there for sure. I mean, I don't look like Willie Brown. I'm not Willie Brown. I'm Nate Holden. And I was on that plane, that helicopter with Barbara and Don and D. Donald. We called him D. Donald then. And as we launched from the launching pad and in flight, Donald Trump was saying, "Look at that skyline! Oh my God, it's the most beautiful skyline in the world, and I'm part of it." Fine. He kept talking and talking, and shortly after we were in flight, the pilot. First, before that, he said, "I got 2 pilots. I have 2 in case one dies. The other will save our lives." And the pilot said, "Shut up, shut up." Started waving back at him, "Quiet, quiet." And Donald kept talking. He says, "Quiet, the hydraulic system just failed. And I'm trying to land this helicopter manually." And we had an emergency landing in Linden, New Jersey, right near where I grew up, and I knew the area. And that's what happened on that flight. And when they landed the flight, he was still white as snow. And
Trump
I was very upset. And I started raising a lot of noise at the mechanics who maintained those helicopters. I asked him by mean time to failure qualification of those helicopters, and given the fact that one had crashed about 6 months earlier, killing 3 of his top executives. He should have been demanding that they do reliability, that they determine mean time to failure, and keep those helicopters in flight.
Wow. And Barbara, you were there, correct? You have some recollection of this as well. This sounds frightening. What was your recollection? How did Trump react? And you can confirm Nate was there, not Willie Brown, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It was Nate. I brought Nate from California to meet Donald on Trump Tower to talk about this ambassador project. And when we got there, they said, "Oh, he doesn't have enough time. He's going to Atlantic City. Come and have a meeting on the helicopter." So we said, "Okay, well, what choice do we have?" And we went on the helicopter, and it was, starting to be a little bumpy. So one of the other 2 guys, I don't know if it was Robert Trump or the other executive, starts talking about when the sound meets the river, the air currents are such and such, and that's what causes turbulence. And I'm going, yeah, right. You're a scientist now. Meanwhile, I'm seeing the co-pilot is pumping the hell out of some instrument he's got there on the floor. And I knew something was wrong, but, it started then it really started shaking. And he was very calm about it. He said, "Okay, we've lost a few instruments. We're going to have to land, emergency land." I think he said we were landing in Teterboro. And it was shaking. Everybody was scared. Trump was terrified, absolutely terrified. And I know that from him because he wouldn't go on the outside elevator on Trump Tower unless I went with him. He's not good with this kind of thing. Anyway, we landed in Teterboro, and I don't remember him yelling at anybody. The one thing I remember is he made a big joke out of it. He turned to Nate and he said, "Nate, you turned white." It was Trump who turned white. Nate was as beautifully black as he always was.
Yeah. And Nate, you would think that Trump would remember the details of such a dramatic event and not confuse you with Willie Brown. Why do you think he was confused?
Well, if he were confused, which I'm not sure he was, and he could have been giving misleading information intentionally. But if he were confused, Willie Brown I served with him 4 years in the legislature. He was in the assembly. I was in the state senate. We were never confused. There was never a misidentification of the 2 of us during that time period. And Willie Brown's a little short, intelligent, sharp guy, attorney from San Francisco area. And I'm a taller guy from Los Angeles. As I said earlier on, obviously, maybe to Donald, we all look alike.
Well, Nate and Barbara, thanks for making it very clear exactly what happened. Now that we have the details, we can move forward. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time.
It proves to me how sad and how desperate Donald Trump is. He knows that he's starting to lose, and a lot of people are really excited about Harris running for president. and he doesn't like it. So he'll try to make up stuff, and there's a perfect example of him making up stuff. The only reason he brought that about Willie Brown because they dated somewhere in the 90s, a long time ago. And he should be the last person to say, horrible things about people. And a lot of people don't. He's a horrible person himself, and that's how he is. He's a terrible human being. He sucks at life, and he just got lucky. His father, But as I can describe, maybe be there next.